We are sitting in Federal Hill where I was born and you grew up, and just a couple of blocks from here at 80 Vinton Street. What was it that you found fascinating about Federal Hill as a topic for your photographs?
Well, it was Federal Hill developed. It was very interesting. I had a very nice relationship with the head of the photography department at MoMA, and
That would be Edward Steichen, yes?
Steichen, and we got talking about my photographs, and he said he liked, he thought that I should be more into people. When I went back to Providence from New York, I could do, where are the people? So I said, oh, the people are at Federal Hill.
Yes.
So I said, let me go and find out what's going on Federal Hill. And so, first of all, I got off the track because I decided to get up on the top of my car and photograph looking down on all the vegetables. And
But that's a very famous photograph. People love that
and
photograph.
I love that. I said, well, no, this is not doing anything with the people. Edward Steichen is not going to be impressed with this. So I said, I better start taking. So I started to look around, and I got fascinated. I got.
And this is the 1950s, yes?
In the 50s, yes. And, near the church, the young people, the elderly.
You once told me that your favorite photographer is Henri Cartier-Bresson.
He connected to my background as a painter because I had a couple of years at School of Design, and I thought I was going to go into painting. But when I saw Cartier-Bresson's photographs from New York, being in New York, and we, went into all the photographers from Paris, mostly the
Right.
French.
Yeah.
What they did a lot, and so I thought this man was incredible. He was he photographed like a painter.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I said, oh my God, I love it. I said, but I'll never be able to do it, but I'll try. I think every place that I've photographed in has opened my eyes to the world and what's going on. You don't think you see somebody walking and oh my God, it's so interesting, and you grab it and you take it. That's it.
Wonderful.
But and then after you speculate, after you think, oh, I love this. Imagine that. Look at that. And
we want everyone to know that this is the photograph that appeared in the Family of Man volume,
oh yes, of
published by the Museum of Modern Art in New York. But what's special about this one is this is actually one that you yourself printed in your darkroom.
Oh, well,
so what were you thinking when you took this photograph? Did you just happen to be there?
I wasn't thinking. I was running to catch a train to come back to Providence.
So this is Grand Central Station?
And then I saw this and I said, oh my God. I didn't, it just like whacked me. So I quickly took a shot. We had, well, maybe this was the beginning. I don't know. That's an interesting thought. It could be this started the whole thing.
Carmel, we're talking about your time in New York. It's in New York where you caught this wonderful photograph of people in Grand Central Station, which is now a famous photograph included in the Family of Man volume. But tell us a little bit about what it was like to go to the Institute of Photography, the New York Institute of Photography, to be a student and to live in New York as a young person like that.
I was living with my aunt in New Jersey, and I used to take the train. I used to take the bus, the train, and the ferry to go to school in the morning. And it was wonderful because when I get down to the ferry, the birds are flying all over the place, and the fishermen are working and whatnot, and just crossing over to New York. And well, that was it. That was the best part of being going to school, actually. Going to school. And
What were classes like?
oh, classes, well, just ordinary classes, you know. You learn all different things, how to wave lights. That was interesting. Painting with light. I'd been painting, you know, but I never painted with light, and that was interesting. And of course, darkroom work. We had to learn all that sort of stuff, different things. You have to learn everything that pertains to working as a photographer. That was the whole thing. The New York Institute didn't have anything about art, or, you know, it was like just what you would do if you were a photographer and had to work for money.
Oh, so they were teaching commercial photography.
It was commercial, yes. It was very commercial.
So it really wasn't the artistic side was something you had to develop yourself.
Absolutely not. No.
I did not know.
No. But I had friends who were interested in photography as art, creative. And that's when we started to look to books and magazines and whatnot to find what the photographers nationally, internationally were doing. And that's when I learned about Cartier-Bresson. And then I really, oh God, that was wonderful.
So that opened up windows for you.
Yeah, that started, well, with that, and talking with Edward Steichen about people and life and warmth and humanity and troubles, and anyway.
So Steichen was, of course, the first director of the photo department at the Museum of Modern Art.
Yes.
And when did you first meet him or have a conversation with him? Mention Steichen. When did you first meet him?
I think my friends, the people I was hanging around with, the photographers, they told me different things like, you should go to the museum and have Steichen look at your photographs. He might buy them. I said, oh my God, that's fantastic. So I made an appointment, and I went, and I met him, and he was absolutely wonderful. And he gave me a cup of coffee, and we started talking. And
we have a lot of correspondence between you and Edward Steichen that you've saved in this wonderful scrapbook. And it tells us 1954 and 1955 that he was in touch with you. And then we know that he actually purchased, I think, 2 photographs, even though one appears in the Family of Man volume. The Museum of Modern Art, actually owns 2 of your photos. We left you with that wonderful line about that photography was perking at this time. So tell us, why was photography perking at this time? What was going on?
Well, because Steichen was, stirring things up, and this was really a very unusual thing, because photography was a junior art. if you want to call it an art. And all of a sudden, he made it very kind of important. And all the photographers were excited. Everybody who went to the museum and talked about photography and, you know, the whole idea, the family of man, and do you know anybody whose photographs are in there? And oh, that was the big thing for photographers.
Well, thank you, Carmel, for being here today. It's so fun to have you back at RISD, where you studied from 1943 to 45, painting, right?
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, and I know you showed your pictures here back in 1958, and we had some pictures, some of the ones that are on view here with us today. We're on view at the museum back in 2006, but I don't think I've been with you here at the museum since then, so it's very nice to have you here and to be able to talk to you about your pictures. Are you happy with the ones we have in the collection?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean,
I like all my little babies.
I mean, I love that we have, I think, a nice representation of the works that you did during some of your most prolific period of working. And so the works we have range from about 1959 through 1970. And we have some of the early prints that you made. So that's also, for me, very special. I think as museum curators, we also like to have the pictures that artists make at the time that you were first, you know, working with and making the negative. So one of the earliest ones is a New York picture over there. It's the one called Watches. And it's a little different in the kind of style that it's photographed in. It's a little softer than some of the others.
You're talking about the New York one?
Yeah, the New York one. So,
it's softer.
Yeah, it feels like it, and it may be because it's a night picture in low light. I know you didn't typically use flash or anything like that with your pictures. No. So, and that's a very interesting scene because it looks like you're capturing something that's maybe a little bit shady, or maybe not.
Well, that whole area was a little shady. Not shady, but like people being out in the middle of the night, doing all kinds of things, which you would never really, you and I probably ordinarily wouldn't be bothered with.
Yeah.
And so that it was very interesting.
Uh-huh.
The only things that used to attract me were the visuals. I never really got into what are they doing, why are they here, who are these people. I was more interested in how did they fit in the background and than what actually they were doing. You know, now he may have been selling bad tickets or something, you know, which I have no idea.
Right.
And I really wasn't too interested in that, you know. I wasn't about to reform anybody or anything. I wasn't in the Reformation character.
But it seems that you were very interested in people, though. I mean,
Oh yes. It was fascinating, especially down in the village. Yeah. Just at night.
But I do love the people in all the pictures that we chose, you know, have people in them or else images of people. But the one right next to it from Federal Hill, that's, I think, one that I think everyone really gravitates to because...
Well, the women are so charming.
Exactly, you can see how charming they are.
So innocent, oh my God.
And is that I know that you grew up in Federal Hill, but is that a shop? Did you know the people there, or?
No, I didn't. I don't know any of these people. I don't know.
Because they seem so comfortable with you. They seem, they're very happy to have you take their picture.
Yes, I've been very lucky. I've never had any problem. I'm shoot and run.
How did you get connected with Oakland Beach? What drew you to that area? Because we have three pictures from that.
I don't know, but you know, Oakland Beach before Oakland Beach now used to be very rural. And it used to have a lot of religious people used to be there, and it was a little on the spooky side. And so I was, and then it had, and before that, it had
The arcade.
merry-go-round
Oh yeah.
and the arcade,
Uh-huh.
and that was, you know, the arcade, I loved that.
Yeah, you could see that in the two pictures we have inside the arcade. Well, there were three probably taken there, but the two with the same little boy is in the two in the middle that we have there. And then on the one on the left, you see he seems to be very disappointed, and he's pointing and he's complaining about something. It seems
so much going on there.
And then you see him in the picture. It seems like whatever he did, it didn't work. And then in the next picture we see, he's very happy with his friends. And the machine is open, and it's a machine you can get a license to do anything. And he wanted the license to do anything, so he must have finally got it.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, so I don't know if you meant to tell a story, and maybe there are more pictures to that we don't have.
No.
But it feels like you're telling a story there.
Well, that was unintentional. I didn't really get into storytelling too much. I was interested, for some reason I got into instant photographs, you know, separates in themselves, visuals.
Because you were
Visuals.
very interested in Cartier-Bresson, right? And his philosophy.
Well, it related to painting. I wasn't a good painter, so that's why I left painting and photography. And but he was incredibly able to handle 2 dimensions, you know. And I couldn't believe when I saw his photographs. I fell instantly in love with him. And anyway, that was nice.
And the last picture that we haven't spoken about is the second one in. And it's a picture of I guess you can, I don't know how this worked, but you could get a picture of yourself that came with a little cardboard frame.
Yes.
And so it looks like you're taking the picture of that machine that would do that. Is that what it is? Yeah, no, I'm really so happy that we have such a beautiful group of your pictures in the collection. And so
Well,
happy that-
I'm so pleased that you have them, of course.
yeah.
I was in New York and met Steichen,
Edward
Edward
Steichen.
Steichen,
Yeah.
and we used to talk, and he was so nice. He bought 3 of my photographs, and
So people
he
can go
would give
to
us coffee.
Ah.
He would give the photographers coffee when they went visited. We made appointments, all the photographers. You make an appointment, see, and then he would buy a photograph from you for $10 or something like that.
Well, it's important that you have your work in the Museum of Modern Art. That's one of the great collections, yeah, and one of the early collections for photography. So.
Yeah, well, he was quite very influential with
Absolutely.
the photographers and MoMA, big in MoMA.
Right.
Yes,
So.
good old times.